Steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing he's could say could make that any better.
Yeah, nobody. No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home. You.
Hello and welcome to DRS FC, an F1 podcast by soccer nerds. I am one such soccer nerd, Andre Carlisle, and I have two soccer nerds here with me. Ebony, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm decent. I'm doing all right. Kyle, another soccer nerd. Kyle, how are you?
I'm all right.
All right. Sounded very low energy. But
Right? Like, dang.
Look, just let me be, okay? Parenting is exhausting.
Well, that's good to know. I thought it was just because we're starting our team previews and it's at the bottom of the constructor standing, so I thought maybe the enthusiasm was lacking.
Oh, no, I feel like this is the most fun.
That's true. We do have a lot to talk about. A lot of teams are changing, so we thought we would go through and do a team preview for every single team. We're going to do it over the course of 3 episodes. We're going to start off with at the bottom of the standings, and we're going to do the first 4 teams, or the lowest 4 teams. We're going to do Sauber, Williams, V-Carb, or Racing Bulls, and Haas. Those are the 4 teams we're going to preview now. And then in 2, we'll do 3 more, and then we'll end up with Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. And we'll do that one, and that will be the last one. And then we'll kind of be done introducing people to teams, and then we'll be able to get into our season preview because the season's coming quickly. But for these previews, what we're going to do is tell you about the driver lineup because so many of them changed. We're going to look back at 2024 and what happened to them in the Constructors Championship, where their drivers finished. We're going to look at the offseason. Were there any changes to their garage, to the factory, to the car? Then we're going to get into some predictions. Where do the drivers finish? Where does the team finish? Biggest challenges for each team in 2025. Predict their biggest win, maybe even their toughest tracks. And we're going to drop a hot take for each and every team, which will be very fun. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So that's what we got going on. We're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get to it right after this. Okay, let's start. Very bottom of the grid. No surprises. It's Sauber, and Ebony's going to tell us all about Sauber.
I mean, there's not a lot to tell you about Sauber. Not gonna lie. Their 2025 drivers, they have a whole new lineup for 2025. It's Nico Hülkenberg, the Hulk. He made a name for himself, just booming through the track. And Gabriel Bortoleto.
Hulk smash.
He did. Where did they finish in 2024? Did they? I mean, they had 4 points, I believe, all of 2024.
Oof.
Yeah, and they came from, like, one Zhou Guan Yu race where he finished in the points. So they finished dead last in 10th. They had a whole different driver lineup last year. Zhou finished 20th, and somehow in a 10-team, 20-person race, Bottas finished 22nd.
Damn it, Valtteri.
I don't know. He had more calendars sold than races in the points last year, okay? So whatever. Any changes to Sauber? They should make some. But they didn't. It's just new drivers. And then they said rookie and destroyer. Go. That's about it. Changes to the car, LOL. I don't really see a lot happening. But that does bring us to, if they haven't made any changes, where do the drivers finish this year? And I think they go a smooth 1, 2, and 19th and 20th. You can interchange whoever. I'm going to give Nico 19th just because he's got a little bit more experience. And he may crash the car one less race than Gabriel. That's all. That's really. Where do they finish as a team? 11th.
Out of 10?
Hey,
Cadillac coming early.
Wow.
Audi
I
don't
didn't think
even
they
have
could do much worse, but apparently you said that's not true.
That's not true. We're gonna take points away, and the points you don't score, we're gonna actually take 5 more points away, and now you're in 11th. Okay. What is gonna be their biggest challenge for 2025? Winning, staying on the track, getting 2 cars to the finish line on race day. It's gonna be their biggest win of 2025, because I don't even know if they can do that. Between the two, and to be fair, I did learn a lot about Gabriel from our rookie seasons. But in a Sauber, see, you could have called me crazy if I had went the Sauber route and said I'm rocking with Sauber because Sauber's rocking with me. I didn't do that. Okay, I put my faith in the pristine Alpine.
All right, like we're no Alpine
Relax.
talk in this preview. All right, you'll get to Alpine later. No Alpine talk. All right.
What will be their toughest track this year? Yes, any track they have to put a car on the track is gonna be their toughest track. Okay. And we asked for hot takes, so I'm gonna give you one. They're gonna go bankrupt. I hope that they have fun going into poverty, into Solvent, and everybody learns a valuable lesson.
Which would be?
Don't drive a Sauber.
Well, I mean,
Am I wrong?
no.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of doom and gloom for Sauber, and it's warranted, I will say. I think the thing that is exciting about them is Audi is taking over for 2026. That will be a great manufacturer to have on the grid. We know Audi has money. We know that they also have pedigree in other racing championships. So like this is just kind of a like their finish line, like their checkered flag is not at the end of any of the races. It's at the end of the season. Like Audi is waiting at their checkered flag at the end of the season. I think that's exactly what they're waiting for. But I do think they have to be careful because they haven't been good ever, really. And I think that can be quite dangerous to a team, not just from morale standpoint, but like Audi and the brand recognition that Audi is going to bring, the money that Audi's going to bring, you want that to kind of start on something that's positive, something that has a little bit of momentum, as opposed to like everybody feeling like it's going to be a gargantuan effort just to make them competitive with like the middle of the pack, or not even the middle of the pack, just the bottom of the grid. Like getting themselves up to possibly scoring points at some point is going to feel like it's too far of a climb. So this, to me, is an important year. I just don't know what they're going to be able to do about that.
You bring up a really good point, because if they finish so far down, Audi's going to come in with all this money and then they can't spend it. So now you have hopefully put the right engineers in the garage to sort of compete to get to a stage where you can actually splash some cash to make your car even better for 2027. I don't think they take advantage of everybody else having a down year. I think they're just going to be like, cool, everyone's down here now. And then they're still going to shit the bed. Unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, I guess, like, why bother trying to put effort in this year when you know you have a terrible car and whatever work you put in now is not going to help you in 2026? But it is possible they won't be the worst team. We don't know what some teams that may or may not be talked about later this episode will do.
That's a very fair point, because I think, and no shade to him, he seems like a lovely gentleman, a very good person, it seems. But Joe just seemed like he wasn't really up to the standard. He was often way at the back, And even though he did eventually get points, I just think that I don't want to say that immediately a rookie like Gabriel Bortoleto is going to be better than him, but I think there's a decent chance. I mean, Bortoleto won F2. We talked about it in the preview. He's actually probably one of the most under the radar, but one of the most accomplished rookies that's coming into the grid. It's unfortunate that he's going to have a Sauber to drive around, but I think you are going to see some talent, and I think he is going to be trying to show something, and I want to see that. And I think I'm hoping they give him at least a little bit of an improved tool to be able to show that, because it would suck if he kind of gets in and he's just kind of forgotten about just because the car is that bad. And so they had a little momentum towards the end of the year. And again, we'll talk about this as we go on through the previews, but this is a weird year. It's the last year. It's the last season before a regulation change, a big regulation change, one of the biggest that they've had in the past, this millennium. Like it's going to be a massive one, and some teams might just stop their development, which would leave a gap for teams like Sauber, teams like these other teams to invest in their current car and maybe pick up some points, pick up some results, because the further you get up the constructors table, the more money comes in. And so maybe they put a little bit more effort into it while other teams are kind of sandbagging or slacking off and just saying, okay, we're actually just going to pivot fully to 2026. Maybe there's an opportunity to get up the grid. Again, getting up the grid from 10th or 11th, as Ebony says, might be a little difficult, but, it is a possibility.
I mean, Bortoleto's talented, so maybe he gets something. I think that's all that they're hoping for, is that Bortoleto could show something, even if it is trying his best to get as much out of a crappy car. Kind of like with George Russell when he was at Williams. You can tell the car wasn't good, but he was trying his best. And maybe Bortoleto has that same thing.
All right. Anything else on Sauber before we move on?
No, we're already sad.
The vibe has been brought down. I don't know if it's going to get picked up too much, because I'm going to talk about Williams next. All right, Williams. First of all, can I get my beef out, my primary gripe with Williams out off my chest? Like, old school Williams cars, the liveries, the colors, beautiful, iconic. Why they go away from that, I don't know. Why, if you see them in the garage, when they have their little helmets on, like the pit crew and everything, they have the Gulf helmet. So they have that light blue and the orange. Bring these colors back, put them on the car. Well, anyway, okay, that's a different conversation. But I get mad because they're one of the most iconic teams and brands, and they keep running away from them by just doing this basic dull blue thing that doesn't have the feeling that the other cars have. And if you ain't gonna be good, at least look good. That's kind of where I'm coming from. All right, sorry, let me get to the preview. Back on track. 2025 drivers: Carlos Sainz. We'll talk about it later. Alex Albon as well. That's a driver that's carrying over from the previous year. Constructors finish in 2024. They finished 9th place. So just one up. They had 17 points, so a few more than 4, but not many more. And drivers, they had 3 drivers take the track in a Williams car: Alex Albon, Logan Sargent, Franco Colapinto. The thing that unites them all 3 is that they all crashed a lot, and it was not good. So driver finishes in 2024. Alex Albon finished the highest, 16th, with 12 points. Franco Colapinto, 19th with 5 points, and Logan Sargent, 23rd with 0 points. Yeah. Yep. If you remember what Ebony said about Sauber, there's only 20 drivers on the grid, 23rd. Now, obviously, he missed a ton of races because he got replaced, but still, 23rd. Any changes in the garage? It's Carlos Sainz. I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that he's with this team where this team currently is. If they were a team that was already showing some promise on the track, I'd be a little bit more excited about this, but it just feels like he's too high caliber of a driver for where Williams currently seems situated, which to me means brings me to the next point. Any changes to the car? I don't know, but there better be. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, the car was very unpredictable. And yes, Logan Sargent can crash in anything. We saw that. But Alex Albon was also crashing. Franco Colapinto was also crashing. And yeah, Franco was a rookie, but Albon, he's usually a stable driver. And the fact that the car seemed so unpredictable was a problem. You can't get the benefit of having Carlos Sainz on your team, somebody that you really lucked into, let's be honest. If there's other that's why we call F1 messy. Other team dynamics. Red Bull should have signed him up, but there's beef between his dad and Max's dad. It's ridiculous. So what ends up happening is Carlos Sainz is with Williams in a situation like this, but they're not going to benefit from having him if they have an unpredictable car that they can't figure out. The whole point of having somebody like Carlos Sainz is he's a veteran driver. He's a very fast driver. He's a very good driver. He's in that car and he probably shouldn't be, but you have an opportunity to get all that feedback and all that data that he can give you that should be very valuable. We'll see what happens. So let's get to predicting. Driver number 1, Carlos Sainz. Where does he finish? I think it's going to be a tough year. I think it's tough to fix an unpredictable car. I'm going to put him 12th, which is higher than any of the other 3 drivers, but that's basically just straight up on his skill and adaptability alone. Like, he can cope with some things that some of the other drivers can't. It's probably going to be a throwback year for him. He's no longer sitting in a Ferrari where things are a little bit better and a lot better when it comes to performance, but I still think it's going to be tough for him to really climb up in that car. So I'm giving him 12th. Alex Albon, I've got him finishing 1 spot higher. He was 16th last year. I think he's going to get 15th, just a minor bump up. And I still think that the combination really has both them combining for Williams to be 8th. So not really a massive jump up, but a little bit of progress there. Their biggest challenge, I've already talked about it, making a predictable car that stays on the track. Crashing, having to rebuild the car every single week, stressing the hell out of your engineers and mechanics. It's not a good life for anybody having to do that week to week. They have to stop spending that kind of money. They have to be able to invest that money in actually developing the car rather than putting it back together. That's going to be the biggest challenge for them in 2025. Their biggest win, to me, they already had it. I don't think they're going to do anything on the track that's going to beat the fact that they actually signed Carlos Sainz. Doesn't make any sense that they signed him. I've talked about it already, but to me, that's their biggest win. They just have to maximize it now that he's signed. Side note, I saw his helmet. It looks really dope. It looks really, really dope. It's got the red and the yellow for the Spain's flag and kind of wrapping around the back. I love Carlos Sainz 55 logo. It's incorporated in there too. It looks dope. I'm here for it. Their toughest track in 2025. Basically all of them. They had 0 points in their first 7 races of the season. Of course, that was with the original driver lineup of Logan Sargent and Alex Albon. And then towards the end of the season, they scored 1 point in feature races in Austin. And that was the last time they scored a point all season, which was 5 races of 0 points. And a lot of that was because the car was crashing, being rebuilt, having to start from the pit lane or whatever, or just, whatever. Like it was bad. It was all bad. My hot take. This was a tough one because I couldn't really think of a hot take. Like I would love to be like, Williams is going to turn it around. Like James, I like listening to James Vowles, their team principal. I actually think he seems like an intelligent dude. He seems like he has a plan, but this plan still, again, seems like it maybe is more focused on 2026 than 2025. And so I don't know what kind of improvement to think about this year, but I think my hot take really is that Alex Albon struggles. He's kind of had a bit of a pass beating up on not great teammates or a rookie in Franco Colapinto, who actually, when Colapinto got there, he was ahead of him a couple times, and I don't think Albon liked that. And so he started pushing kind of hard, and then he started having the crashes and stuff as well. I think he's not going to respond all that well to Carlos Sainz because I think Sainz is, again, he's just an incredible driver. He's very adaptable. And the problem is, like, if the car if the car's hard to handle, but it is manageable in the hands of an experienced driver, Sainz will be able to work with it. The performances or results won't be great. It's not like he's going to finish in the points every single race, but he's going to be able to manage it and kind of help guide the team. And he's already, like, if you look at their socials, basically they got one driver. It's like Carlos Sainz. They're like hyping up Carlos Sainz. I just think all of that is going to weigh on Alex Albon because I don't think he's kind of been used to being like, by default, I'm the guy that y'all need to coddle a little bit. Like I'm that dude. And now he's not going to be that dude anymore. It's going to be Carlos Sainz. So I think he's going to have a weird year. I said struggles. I think I'm just going to go with weird year is what's going to happen with Alex Albon. And so we'll see.
Pray for the accountant. I said it last year with all the crashes. Maybe now with having Carlos Sainz, who's a more reliable driver. But you still got to pray for that Williams accountant who is absolutely dreading coming back.
Are they building cars on Klarna? Is that what we're doing?
They're still trying to work out that accountant is still trying to go through the spreadsheets from last year and figuring out the costs. It's like, I'm still figuring out how much damage actually happened.
Right. You're gonna set the accounting department on fire and be like, I don't know what happened, y'all. I don't know what happened.
Files are gone. We got hacked.
Yeah, right. We got hacked. I don't have no backups. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you want me to do about any of that.
It's like, let's just call it even.
Right. Let's just start over. It's fine. It's all good. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I feel for the accountant. I feel for the mechanics. I feel for the engineers because the engineers are probably like, we want to be able to fix what's wrong with this car and we have ideas to do it. But you can't do that if you keep spending money and time having to just rebuild with old parts, by the way. Old parts that weren't good, by the way. Old parts that probably had a role to play in the car being so crashy in the first place. But you have to keep rebuilding it, and then what do you do? Like, what do you do? You have nothing left. And so, yeah, I feel bad. I really hope they can turn this around, but I'm scared.
You'll never get ahead if you have to keep fixing yesterday's problem. So hopefully they get there. I pray for the day that Williams figures it out.
I mean, they had a race where they had to basically say, yeah, Logan Sargent, you can't drive because we don't have enough parts to fix Albon's car. So Albon's going to drive your car.
And then he fucked up.
Yeah, that is not a good place to be when you got to sacrifice one driver and be like, well, guess we're only putting one car out on the track today. Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah, I honestly, you know what my hot take should be? I don't want to say this out loud because I think he's going to get until 2026. But honestly, James Vowles should be under a bit of pressure. Like, he got the massive, like, pat on the back, like the big boost of signing Carlos Sainz. Like, nobody really expected that, but they've been talking about it. Carlos does seem intrigued by the prospect. I mean, obviously, he's not happy. You saw him at the end of last year. He was like tearful goodbyes every time he had to walk out of that Ferrari car. He was just like, I'll miss you so much. Podium, I'll see you at some point in the future. It was tough.
Williams.
Well, exactly. Like in the future, the distant future.
You said no Alpine talk, so never mind.
Yeah, exactly. You stopped that. But yeah, so like that part is tough, and it feels like James Vowles has been on this like trajectory of, give me time to like strip it down and rebuild it, and let's see where we're at. Let's see what kind of progress we're making. It feels like he's got to start making progress now, because especially when you strip it down like that, it's almost like the trust the process, like of the 76ers. Like when you strip it down, you can't cost yourself more money. So if you're stripping it down and you're not getting points, you're not getting anything, but also you're going in the red, rebuilding the car, that's going to get real old real quick for people investing in Williams. So, yeah, I think this is a tough year for him. And he got a driver that if the car is decent, they'll be able to make progress. But if it's not, he could be gone.
Remember when they said trust the process and then didn't win a trophy?
They didn't even get to the conference finals, right?
I was going to say, remember when they said trust the process and then Joel Embiid said, I am the process, and then he breaks every year? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay with that as a certified hater of Joel Embiid and the 76ers. I'm okay with that.
All right. We got a Milwaukee Bucks fan over here. Is that?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Some people talk about the process. Some teams just show the results.
Wow.
Hey,
Perfect.
that's what the Bucks owner
I
said.
said not Williams, not this, not this episode. Okay.
Wow. And I think that can conclude our Williams preview. So we will take another quick break and be back with V-Carb. Okay, Kyle, talk to us about V-Carb. Visa, Cash App, or just Racing Bulls now finally, or whatever, who knows?
Yeah, Visa, Cash App, Racing Bulls. I'm just going to call them Alfa Rosso, Toro Tari, if you're into that. This year they have Yuki Tsunoda with a chip on his shoulder, and Isaac Hadjar, who is a rookie who finished second in Formula 2 in 2024. That's going to be their driver lineup for this year. It's going to be interesting because Liam Lawson, who we'll talk about a little bit, he got chosen over Yuki to move up to Red Bull. Yuki probably isn't happy about it. Where did they finish last year? They finished in 8th. It was not pretty for the Racing Bulls Visa Cash App. In 2024, Yuki tried his best. He held his own. He had 12 points. So, I mean, he had finished in 12th. He had 30 points. So good for him. The other driver that was paired with Yuki at the start of the season, Daniel Ricciardo, he was in 17th. He had 12 points. And then Liam Lawson replaced Daniel Ricciardo after the Singapore Grand Prix. And it was awkward because they didn't say this was Daniel Ricciardo's last race, but basically it was Daniel Ricciardo's last race. It was weird. Typical Red Bull stuff. Liam Lawson finished 21st with 4 points. Again, there's 10 teams and supposed to be 20 drivers, and yet we got people finishing below that. I don't know. But any change in the garage? Well, as I mentioned last year, Liam Lawson had replaced Daniel Ricciardo, and now this year, Liam Lawson is moving up to Red Bull Racing, and Isaac Hadjar is coming up to F2. So that's going to be the big change. Will there be any changes furthermore in the season? I don't know, but we'll talk about that. Any changes to the car? They changed their name. I don't know, that's really the biggest thing. They're now Racing Bulls. None of this V-Carb, none of this Visa Cash App. It's Racing Bulls. Whatever they want to call themselves, I'm not going to follow it. Otherwise, last year's car, people were criticizing, saying, this looks really similar to the Red Bull 18 and 19, the car that absolutely dominated in 2022 and 2023. That's weird. That car looks oddly familiar. In which Racing Bulls was like, nope, I don't know what you're talking about. Just weird coincidence. And then people saw it out on the track and realized, no, this actually is not the same car. So I don't know what they're going to do. In terms of predictions, I think Yuki is going to try his hardest, but he's going to finish 14th. The car is just worse than last year. And I think with other teams improving either by their car, like Haas, or their driver pairing, like Williams, it's going to cause a lot of other people to catch up. Isaac Hadjar, I think, will finish 17th. I think he'll finish above both the Saubers, but that's not saying too much. Constructors, I think they're going to finish 9th. It's just really hard to picture them passing Williams with a weaker driver pairing, and the biggest challenge for 2025 is it's going to be managing those emotions, because Yuki, they're emotional on the radio. Isaac Hadjar, they're emotional on the radio. And sometimes on the track. Yuki's on a warpath of revenge. I think it's gonna be tough to try and keep level heads going, especially when they are challenging at the back marker, as they did multiple times last year. I think their biggest win in 2025 would be both drivers showing promise, whether Yuki really starts battling, getting points consistently, and Hadjar just showing he is solid enough that they should not replace him in the middle of the year or at the end of the year for whatever next Red Bull Academy driver they have. Their toughest track, well, I guess it would be all of them, but in particular, they seem to struggle in the Middle East and parts of Asia, like in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, in Singapore, all no points finished, and also in Azerbaijan. So Middle East and parts of Asia, I guess, are where their toughest tracks are. Basically, I think the hot take, Isaac Hadjar is going to have the closest margin out of any of Yuki's previous teammates. Which doesn't say much, but it is saying much because I'm thinking Isaac Hadjar will survive the whole season. Something Racing Bulls have not done the last 2 years.
I was going to say, that's not like a super high. It's a toasty take, but I understand where you're coming from. Because
I have a hot take.
It's really hard to think of a hot take for a team that's not going to be good.
Right, exactly.
I have a hot take, though.
Okay. Oh, let's hear it.
The hot take is halfway through the season, Yuki and Liam switch.
That is hot.
So
I just can't see it happening because at this point, they've basically said Yuki is never going to drive for Red Bull Racing at this point.
Yeah.
They'll just bring some other kid for the academy instead.
But they'll do it. I think it won't be it may be half, but it may not be the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I really don't know because it seems like you mentioned, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Like Yuki has a Yuki-sized chip on his shoulder. Like that thing is massive at this point. He keeps getting bypassed. They keep using him as a measuring stick, and then whoever can even kind of match him, be even with him, maybe beat him on occasion, gets the promotion, and he doesn't. That's gonna wear on you at some point. So my concern is Yuki just says, screw it, whatever. I'm not gonna do this anymore. And maybe he's doing like back channel talking. You know, Honda's coming into Aston Martin for 2026. Maybe that's a path for him to be able to go and get into one of those cars for 2026. Adrian Newey is over there as well. That's a much improved scenario for him. Maybe that's where he's looking forward to, or that's where he's gonna focus his energy, as opposed to this team that has shown repeatedly that they don't care what he does. He's never gonna get promoted.
I mean, also tampering is not a thing they have to worry about because anybody can talk to anybody. So
right.
Fuck it, might as well put that "you up" text out there.
Right, and I really think this is going to be an interesting year for Yuki. I mean, I do think that he has to show some sort of result against Hadjar, since Hadjar's a rookie and he's not like an Antonelli Behrman level rookie. But it is still important for him to show that he still has the skill. But I still think that, like, with that Honda engine manufacturer coming at Aston Martin, he's going to have a bit of an in to that team. And it just matters on if the rest of them can convince Lawrence Stroll to get rid of his dusty-ass son, Lance Stroll, and get him out the car. If he can do that, then I think Yuki's good, and he'll have a shot in that car in 2026. But that makes this year a fascinating one because he's not going to be all in for Racing Bulls. How can he be, given what they've done to him?
It's odd because technically, I guess Yuki is the test driver for Red Bull Racing, but then they have Ayoami Iwasa, who's the test/reserve driver for Racing Bull. So it's like, okay, maybe Yuki gets moved up, but I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, they stuck with Checo far longer than they should have. And that one was a clear, like, why are you still rolling with this man?
You just got to sprinkle a little bit of drama in there somewhere. You got to give Drive to Survive a reason.
It's gaslighting, Emily.
Yeah. Huh?
It's gaslighting. That's what this is. It's gaslighting.
No. You're just giving the people what they want. And Drive to Survive needs a reason to turn the camera on every week.
So I would actually think that'd be a good shot at that happening if Honda was sticking around as their engine manufacturer. Honda's leaving and Ford's coming in. So there's really no pressure to get Yuki up there. And I think we've already heard from the voices within Red Bull. I don't know how Red Bull ever succeeds, given that like two dudes are running that team and they have completely different, like, opposing ideas of what to do. And they also have a lot of influence within. So like, that's not supposed to work, but Max just kind of makes it work because he's that damn good. And I hate to say that out loud and on a microphone, but it's just true.
I think he just ignores them. So everybody else is affected, which is why like the skill between 1 and 2 is just so huge because Max goes, I'm Max Verstappen, I do what I want. And then he goes wins 8 races in a row. And then everybody else is like, well, I got to listen to him and I got to listen to him. So I guess I'll just sit here.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. I'm really fascinated by what happens with Visa, Cash App, Venmo, Racing Bulls.
Toro Rosso.
Yeah, Toro Rosso. That's that. Honestly, why do they ever go away from that name? But yeah, I am fascinated, basically from a driver standpoint and also team radio standpoint, which I'm so glad you highlighted. All right, let's take our last break and get to Haas. Haas gang gang. All right, Haas, here we go. I'm going to tell you all about Haas because, low-key, I might be a little bit of a Haas stan. All right? I might be. I'm just going to admit that up front. All right? I'm going to admit that up front.
Is it Alpine levels of?
No, stop it. What I tell you, no Alpine talk on this podcast. Okay. Not this episode. There's plenty of Alpine talk that we're going to have to endure in the future. Not right now. 2025 drivers, Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman. Fun little note, as much as the drivers are changing on every single team, or just about every single team, not McLaren, not a couple others, only Haas and Sauber have all new driver lineups. So just two new, completely new drivers. That's going to be very fascinating. Haas obviously in the past had Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen. As Ebony said at the top, Kevin Magnussen is now with Sauber. That's going to be interesting. Or, sorry, Nico Hülkenberg is now with Sauber, not Kevin Magnussen. My bad. But that's going to be fascinating. Where did Haas finish in 2024? They were 7th. And they were 7th because of the damn Alpine double podium. That's the only reason they were 7th and not 6th. Ebony is cheering like that just happened, and that's unfortunate. Drivers, where did they finish in 2024? Hulk 11th and Kevin Magnussen was 15th. Changes in the garage. So this is fascinating. The Toyota partnership came out of nowhere, like towards the end of last season. They just announced that they're going to have a partnership with Toyota, which, as we've talked about before, that Haas car is legitimately like a Franken car. Like they put pieces, I think the chassis is built in like a factory in Italy. I think they have something in Germany, I believe it is, that does like suspension or something else. And then they do something in the Americas, in North Carolina. They have a factory and they put that whole thing together. I think some of that is going to get streamlined a little bit because Toyota has their own facilities as well. So that's going to be helpful. But one of the main things that I was reading about, and this was an article that was in, I believe it was, therace.com, the-race.com, talked about the Toyota and Haas deal and about testing. They call it TPC testing, which if you get into F1 and you start getting into it kind of deep, just like any other industry or whatever, people use a lot of acronyms and it sounds like it's something very special or like, oh my God, what's that? TPC testing is testing previous car. It don't mean nothing. It's just testing previous car. But Haas didn't have that ability to do that. They will have that now. You can't test, I think you have to test 2 years ago, so they won't be able to test the 2024 car, but they can get the 2023 car on the track, which is something they haven't been able to do previously. And Toyota also has a racing simulator that's going to be quite helpful. Haas has basically been like stitching this thing together as best they can, but there are some really key important things where you gather a lot of data that they haven't had access to because of the way their team is built. And honestly, they have the least amount of money of anybody on the grid. And they've just been kind of making it work with that. So it's been a fascinating approach. They've actually been able to get results using this approach. But now that they're starting to make smart partnerships, get some of the things that some of the other teams have had access to, I'm really excited to see what kind of improvement they can have, given that they'll have some of these tools that they didn't have in the past. So those are big changes, really, to the garage and to the car. So let me get into predictions. Ooh, this is a tough one. Esteban Ocon, where does he finish? I've got him 10th. And Ollie Behrman, I've got him not far behind. I've got him 12th. And I know both Kyle and Ebony are looking with very intrigued faces because I wrote in the doc that we have that I was feeling bold and very confident when I wrote this that Haas was going to finish 5th. I'm going to change that and say 6th. I think I was a little bit too confident in what they could do. I'm going to drop it back one and see, but I still think there's going to be an improvement, right? I think they should have finished 6th. this year, but I also think it's going to be I'm kind of expecting Aston Martin to not be as terrible as they were, so they should be able to hold on to that 5th spot, but there is a chance. If Haas gets things right and some of these benefits they have access to now help, especially this year, we'll see what happens. Their biggest challenge for 2025, it's about the drivers, in my opinion. Magnussen and Hülkenberg were 2 very experienced drivers. They were 2 very professional drivers. Yes, Kevin Magnussen ran into people from time to time, but I think there wasn't really tension between them. They kind of communicated well about the car, tried to figure out what to do, and then you saw throughout the season, you saw Haas kind of steadily gain the ability to pick up points, to show up in Q3 on a fairly consistent basis. Like, you saw improvements. They started off rough, but then they got better as they continued to develop the car. That's really good, and some of that was because of the drivers and what they can provide feedback-wise. Ocon and Ollie Behrman aren't going to have that exact dynamic, and also Ocon, he doesn't have the best track record with teammates. Ollie Behrman's really like a chill kind of figure, but I also think he's really, really fast. And that could really bother Ocon if he's behind Ollie Behrman, or he's struggling to keep up with him, or just the dynamic is a little bit weird, or Ollie's like on fire. Maybe he gets into Q3 a few times, picks up some points, and now he's the one getting all of the focus and attention. I don't know. Esteban Ocon is an interesting character, so their biggest challenge is going to be able to basically like protect Ollie from Ocon if it goes that way. Their biggest win in 2025. Oof. This is a tough one because last year they only got double points with both drivers scoring points in the feature race. They only did that in 3 races. Their best result was 6th and 8th in Austria, which was not necessarily aided by the crash between Max and Lando, because again, it was 6th and 8th. And Max Verstappen did fight his way back up to 5th, even though Lando DNF'd. So 6th and 8th is still quite good. Even without that crash, they're still scoring double points. So I think that might continue. I kind of think for whatever reason, their car worked very well that day. And I also, and on that track. And I also think when you have a team that's kind of at a deficit when it comes to some of the technology they have to be able to set up and build the car and test the car, when you have those sprint weekends where everybody gets just one practice session, that's probably where Haas can make up a little bit of ground, because they're like, hey, y'all ain't used to doing this. We basically do this every single week because we're struggling. So I think maybe that Austria track there's a reason why they were good there, and I think that might carry over into 2025. Their toughest track in 2025? Ooh, this is going to be a familiar theme throughout this entire preview episode, but they scored 5 points from their first 10 races. They finished 7 points behind Alpine, again, thanks to Brazil, 36 behind Aston Martin. Now, that's fascinating because, like I said, they had a slow start. I'm going to say they're going to continue to have slow starts, but they have to pick up points. And so that's where, I think the beginning of the season is going to be important for them. So in terms of toughest track, I don't really have a particular track. I just think at the beginning of the season, they're going to have to scrap for all the points they can get, because the margins are so thin towards the end of the season that if they would have picked up points, even an average number of points, they could have gotten them. They could have withheld Alpine, even that double podium that Alpine had, and they could have maybe been able to do it, because 36 points behind Aston Martin, that's a lot closer than you would initially think. That's a smaller margin than Ferrari and Red Bull had at the top of the championship. They were 2 and 3. And 7 points, definitely. You have a couple races where both your drivers score points, and you are able to hold on to that 6th position, and Alpine isn't able to jump you because of one race. So I think watch Haas at the beginning of the season. It's going to probably tell you a lot about where they're going to end up. If they're able to pick up points, especially a lot more points than they picked up in 2024, they might be onto something, especially as the season progresses. My hot take, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I believe in karma. I believe strongly in karma. And because Alpine, out of nowhere, got that double podium in Brazil, I feel like karma owes it to Haas to get a podium. I don't know which driver it's going to be. I don't know what kind of chaos has to happen on the track for this to happen, but I want to see a Haas driver on a podium. Probably third. I don't care what it is. I just want a Haas driver on a podium. That's going to be my hot take because I think there's the capability of it happening. And again, it's all my trust and faith and belief in karma that it actually exists because they deserve it.
I mean,
should I mute Ebony's mic? Because you know she's going to talk about Alpine right now.
No, we're not allowed.
I'm going to say, this is the only time you're going to hear me say Alpine, okay?
Oh, Jesus.
If I can believe in Alpine, I'm going to go with a Haas podium. So, let's go.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
I was going to say, this is the most talented driver pairing Haas has ever had.
Yeah, it's true.
If you really think about it, the history of Haas, I mean, they haven't been along as long. This is the most talented. Like, Ollie Behrman, really fast, really, probably, arguably 1 or 2 in terms of rookies this year. Esteban Ocon has won a race. Not a lot of other drivers can say that. And we've seen that he has the capability of podiums. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I like that I'm bringing y'all along with my hot take about Haas podium. I'm here for this. I'm here for this energy because I again.
I feel like it's got to happen early though because once Ocon realizes Ollie is faster than him, oh no, that mood is gonna go down. Right now he's all smiles. He's in a great mood. He's like, I'm so happy to be free of Alpine. It's gonna have to be early for Ocon, or he's just gotta consistently beat Ollie. Because once Ollie starts beating him, it's gonna go downhill.
Yeah, the vibes
that
are
summer
gonna be
break
tough.
might get awkward.
Yeah, the vibes definitely are gonna volatile. I think is what I will call them. The vibes will be volatile because, yeah, that's ultimately what I'm scared of. Like I think, like Io Komatsu, you know, the team principal there, he's been so impressive. I think, kind of low key. Like it's almost like he's kind of the opposite of James Vowles. He doesn't do all the talking that James Vowles does, but he puts in work. And he, like that Toyota partnership, nobody even knew they were working on that. That was a surprise to all the writers and journalists that I follow that follow F1. They're like, this kind of came out of nowhere. And it's perfect. It's exactly something like a team in the position of Haas should do. And so I think he's got some tricks up his sleeve. And again, I'm still thinking about it from the standpoint of 2026 and how many cars and how many teams are going to suddenly shift their focus when they're like, okay, we're out of the Drivers' Championship. Doesn't really matter what we do right now. Let's focus on 2026 because we have the ability to, if we hit that regulation set well and we start off like as one of the teams that like nails that regulation set from the very first race, that's going to put them in position for the entirety, like the length of that regulation set. So I think they're going to push a lot of development into that. A team like Haas and some of these teams lower in the grid, middle of the grid, are going to have opportunities to do something like I said, I think I said this as well, like earlier, that I think we're looking for like weird podiums. Like I think we're just going to see weird podiums at points this season, and that's why that plus karma are my reason. Ebony's cheesing are my reasonings for a Haas podium being more of a possibility than it would be, say, in 2024 and certainly in 2026.
I like a weird podium. That's the chaos I'm looking for.
We know, and besides the logical part of me and all your Alpine enthusiasm, besides the logical part is just like they had to have used up all of their goodwill and all their karmic fortune to get a double podium. That should have never happened in 2024. So I'm a little concerned about what happens to them in 2025. But look, damn it, you got me talking about Alpine on this damn episode.
We're done.
I'm mad at you. We're done. We're just done. That's enough Alpine talk. All right. We're done with this preview. Those are the bottom 4 teams. We'll see what happens. Listen, we have a doc. I'm not going to keep track of any of these things because I hate giving predictions anyway, but it will be fascinating to look back and see how right or wrong we were. We have more previews to come. Stay tuned for the next one where we hit the next 3 teams up the constructor standings. And then, of course, we're going to finish with the top 3 teams. So we'll be back. Stay tuned. Ebony will talk about Alpine plenty. If you love Ebony and Alpine, this next episode is for you. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.